negotiations with Hector were an eye-opening sort of experience, because I never expected he was going to give me the things that I asked for. The university had a $3 a semester student activity fee, and they gave that money to the Student Association, Student Faculty Association. It was called, they thought that the students needed training wheels on their bicycle, and that a quarter of the members of the Student Association had to be faculty members. We did away with that in 1968, but in 1967 that was the way it was. The Student Faculty Association didn't get to keep any of its revenue. It became university revenue. So people who bought ads in the newspaper were giving money to the school. People who bought tickets to homecoming were paying money to the school. That all these expenses were paid for out of the student budget, and the university got to keep the revenue. So I got Hector to agree that if we generated income, we ought to be able to keep it and use it for our own purposes. And since we were generating income for our own purposes, that we ought to have the right of carryover on our budget line from one year to the next. If we lost money, that would come out of the following years. But if we made money, we got to have that money to spend in the following calendar year, fiscal year. One other important point that we made in our mass demonstration was that the University of Hartford was a 99 point something high all-white school. We had more Africans from Africa than we had African Americans from the city of Hartford. So one of our demands was that the university should look more like the community whose name it carries. In the meantime, I got elected as president of the Student Faculty Association, and Jack Hardy, that reedy-voiced folk singer, he was named editor of the newspaper. Again, the newspaper changed name, and in the fall of 1968, our school paper was the UH News Liberated Press. We printed big papers. We covered everything that a college newspaper should carry, and all the stuff that a revolutionary newspaper of the 1960s would carry as well, simultaneously, along with original poetry, art, photography, cartoons, a vast range of material that the likes of which you would see 4 or 5 years later as the Hartford Advocate or the Phoenix in Boston, or what came to be called the Underground Press. We were the forerunners of those people, of that enterprise, of that level of communications. We didn't think of cigarette ads, although we ran advertising. We were a popular paper to advertise in. We got prime rates. I was the newspaper's business manager as well as its publisher. And we even took ads from the CIA. We took ads from the NSA. We took ads from the FBI. It staggers my mind when I think about it now, but we actually had a sit-in demonstration on campus against Marine recruiters. But our newspaper, we printed everything. Anything that anybody paid us to print, we print. Even the CIA. '68 was a very strange year. There was a massive student upheaval on campuses all over the nation. This is the year of the demonstrations at the Chicago Democratic Convention. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. Well, they were watching us, and we were engaged in changing the world for the better. We did the things that any student government ought to be able to do. We fired a food service contractor and hired a new one with better food and better prices. We started, since men are as responsible for child care as women, we started a babysitting service so that women with young children didn't have to take children to class or to the library when they were going to study. We had a babysitting service on campus. Men and women volunteered for the babysitting service, including myself. A lot of fun. We had social activities, a range of music concerts produced by the Student Association. Jefferson Airplane, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, James Taylor and 10 Years After, Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, Leonard Cohen, Joni Mitchell, Ike and Tina Turner, Van Morrison, Steve Miller Band, Jerry Jeff Walker, Tim Hardin, Chicago, and more, and more, and more. The Youngbloods, Spirit, Richie Havens, more people than you could count. And by the way, we made money on concerts. We picked good people early, and we sold tickets. I established a network of off-campus ticket locations, which was borrowed by commercial promoters. We had visiting speakers come to campus, and not just people who worked for the State Department or the War Department. We had Norman Thomas. We had Leroy Jones. We had Julian Bond. We had Madeline Murray O'Hare.
Muhammad Ali. But
Brain fart. Hold on, I'll keep going.
But